and HRM research group. And my research interests are ethics in working life in general, and especially social sustainability and equality issues in HR and management and leadership issues in different contexts. And today our program consists of Can you hear my voice now? Excellent. So,
yes.
So we have 3 presentations today, and about practical issues of this webinar, we will first hear the presentations, and then we have time for questions. And I am asking you all to keep you now muted, and also the video are better off so we can keep the connection, good connection. And you can also write some questions to the chat, and we go through the questions after the presentations. And our first speaker is Professor and Dean Hanna-Leena Pesonen, and she's a professor of corporate environmental management, and her areas of expertise include corporate environmental strategies and marketing, material flow management and environmental management systems, and lately most of her research has focused on developing sustainable business and bioeconomy, and altogether she has a very extensive experience of sustainability work from several sectors. And Hanna has worked in several international research groups with partners from research institutions, public sector, and other types of businesses. And she's also a member of the EASAC energy steering panel. So Hanna-Leena, very warmly welcome to this session, and you are now ready to give your presentation.
Thank you very much, Suvi. Let me. Can you? Yes.
Yes.
So I will share my screen then. So it should be visible to you. Is it?
Yes. Excellent.
Okay. So thank you for asking me to join your webinar. I'm extremely excited to be here today. As a dean of the School of Business and Economics, we've been planning for the common program with the Faculty of Sports for quite some time, and the topic we've built, the common master's program, is something which of course is close to my heart because of my own background, as we explained already, in sustainable business as a whole, more closely in environmental issues, but in sustainability issues as a whole. I was asked to say a few words about responsible business in general, and in the end I would like to try to make few comments then about responsible business in sports sector. My own background with sports is just nothing from the research really, or from work, just an active, outgoing, as a hobby. That's all I have to do with sports, not professionally. But let's go to sustainability. So corporate responsibility, a very traditional way to explain that would be to say that it has the 3 pillars, the same as explained in sustainable development. That is social, environmental, and economic responsibility for an organization. Another way to put this is to talk about the triple bottom line of an organization, to talk about people, planet, and then profit. So the 3 tasks which should be taken care at the same time in an organization. Then my next slide brings to you the 17 Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations, which is something which is used nowadays as a framework for sustainability and responsibility in many organizations. It also includes the 3 areas, that is the social, environmental, and economic areas of responsibility, but broken down into more details. As you can see, talking about gender equality, climate action, sustainable cities and communities, etc., etc. Next, few words about why we're talking about responsibility or where do the pressures come for different types of organizations, businesses, but as well it could be a sport organization as well. Organizational values. The organization itself committing to do something better in terms of responsibility or sustainability is the strongest force, of course, and has probably the biggest impact. If the organization itself finds the sustainability, the responsibility issues important, something worth advancing in its own operations, everything it does. But there are also some external pressures listed in here. Customer demand as for one. So whether it's consumers or business to business customers, depending on an organization, on which markets we are working for. So customers asking for better performance in terms of sustainability. Also competitors is a very important force for sustainability. Once one organization in a certain sector starts to do something in the area of sustainability or responsibility, it kind of forces also then the competitors to answer to the same questions. Therefore, actually, the demands start to then come in also from customers, also from your own employers, from within your organization. So therefore, these forces kind of get mixed. Last thing on my list here is legislation. In some sectors, some industries, certainly the legislation has been the first driving force, forcing the companies to do something or the organizations to do something to start improving, let's say, their energy efficiency or similar. Different sectors in society, whether we're talking about businesses or other types of organizations, have faced these pressures or the forces from different audiences in a different pace. So typically heavy industries were the first to if we talk about environmental issues, my own area, so heavy industries were the first to face the demands to start introducing different kind of filters for their pollution. They were causing problems for the workers, for the neighboring residents, for the environment, the nature around the production plant. So they were typically the first to come up with these pressures. But where we are right now, it's hard actually to find a sector or an organization which would have no sort of demands from any of their stakeholders about responsibility. The same demands certainly have spread to services very much beyond the heavy industry where it probably started. I have next two slides. I won't go read all of these things, but maybe if you just look at the headlines, there are 7 issues. Just to give you an idea what kind of a value, on the other hand, if we have the pressures forcing the companies or the organizations to do something, on the other hand, then we can look at the issue also from the value perspective. So what kind of value sustainability, if we are doing things better in terms of responsibility, what can it bring to business or other types of organizations? The first thing here, regulatory compliance. Simply to save your license to operate on the market, so that you are not sort of forced out of the business. So that's certainly a big advantage for any organization. So you have to live according to the rules of the society in the first place. And that's, of course, valuable for any organization. Second point, risk management. Sustainability, responsibility often starts with some kind of a risk assessment. These issues do involve risks, as I explained earlier, with pollutions, for instance. Same applies also to social issues, how you treat your contractors in your supply chain. You're forced to do that, to go through all different kind of risks involved in your operations. And that leads, of course, then to better risk management, less financial impacts, for instance, in trying then to deal with some kind of problems when those risks would realize. Third one, operational efficiency, and that's something linked now especially to the environmental responsibility issues. Using resources more efficiently, very often, in most cases actually, then also leads to economic efficiency. There can be cases when you have to change to another type of raw material, for instance, which could be more expensive, but on the other hand, using those more efficiently, then again, often leads to operational efficiency. So environmental and economic issues, the two pillars of sustainability, often go hand in hand. Now my numbers seem to have jumped on this page. Don't worry about those. The fourth issue, anyhow, image improvement and strengthened brand value. Something which we have seen we have evidence of those issues for the companies, for the organizations which have actively worked in the area of responsibility and sustainability. Fifth area, number 6 on my list here, market growth. So certainly there's also potential then for new products, new services on the market, which are totally based on sustainable type of doing business, sustainable products, sustainable services. I won't go more into detail in that. Number 6 on my list, the first number 7 in here. Innovations leading to redirection or redefinition of existing business concepts. So we have totally new types of businesses being created on sustainability. Think of renewable energies, for instance. You could also say that different kind of business models using the platform economies, therefore not offering a service instead of buying your own device, for instance, but using something online could be an example of this. Last one, the 7th thing on my list, very important. Sustainability, responsibility have been improved to improve staff motivation and employer brand. Especially the younger people nowadays on the employment market do ask responsible business from their employers. The very last thing I would like to leave you just with a couple of thoughts now from the environmental responsibility perspective, what it could be in sports sector. I did actually work a bit with gyms about 10 years ago here in central Finland, and then also was involved in some of their larger, even international global organizations in trying to figure out what would be the issues for gyms in terms of environmental responsibility, where to pay attention to. This is based on what I learned by that time. Number 1, energy use of sport premises, really important. In many sports, indoor sports, you have large halls, large sport facilities. Energy use as a whole, heating and cooling of buildings is responsible for more than 40% of the climate change impact in the European Union. So it does have a huge impact. So that's certainly a task for the sports sector, to look into their facilities, try to find ways how to use energy efficiently, and then also about the type of energy that is being used. Waste management one, bringing a lot of, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm just finishing if you were saying about the time. I didn't hear really. Yeah, so waste management, one thing, when you're bringing a lot of people together, something to look into. Land use impact, on the other hand, for the outdoor sports, especially in those events where you bring thousands of people together out in the open, that's an issue to look into. And then the last thing, for whether it's outdoor indoor sports, traveling around the countries, around the globe even, something certainly, especially now, of course, in the time of the coronavirus and the pandemic, but also then, let's say, in the normal circumstances, certainly something I expect that the sports sector will have to face, the question of how to deal with the very extensive traveling, especially when we talk about then the top athletes, professional athletes. I would like to leave you with these thoughts, a short background for responsibility in general, and then something for the sports sector. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Hanna, for the interesting ideas that you gave us. So we can now continue with our program, and I can see that we are still learning with this technological issues and making this kind of webinar, but we will manage now. And Hanna, you can introduce Sinuhe.
Yes, thank you, Suvi, and thank you also, Hanna-Leena, on my behalf. And I'm looking, we are having as many as over 60 people here participating in this webinar, which is a very, very nice number, and I'm hoping that everyone is enjoying the webinar so far. Yes, so let's move on in the program, and our next speaker is Mr. Sinuhe Wallinheimo. Sinuhe is an alumni of our university, as he graduated from the earlier sport management program in 2010. And before that, he had played professional ice hockey as a goalie in Finland and abroad. And since 2011, he has acted as member of the Finnish Parliament. And Sinuhe's topic today is about responsible management and good governance in the political aspect. Please welcome Sinuhe.
Well, thank you, Hanna, and first of all, greetings from Helsinki. I'm here right now in the Council of Helsinki, and we are having our party meeting here today. And actually, I'm right now in a True Finns group party room, so it's not my party, but anyways, here I am. And like Hanna said, I'm an alumni of Faculty of Sport, and Master in Sports Science and Management. And I have also studied abroad a little bit. I was in University of Denver for quite a bit years, and I graduated there with BA, and my BA was there in international politics. So also what I have done here in the last 10 years, I've been a member of Sport Council of Finland, and I was there maybe 5 or 6 years. I'm not a member anymore, but you could actually put the slide on. I don't know which one it is after the, yes, this is the topic, so you can go actually to the second slide. Well, the slide is probably coming up. I can't see if it has changed or not, but what we did in Sports Council last term was that I was leading this Sport Council's division of the future. And it was pretty actually interesting because we haven't done any future studies in Finnish sports. Can you see the other slide? I don't know. I just have the topic here. Do we have the second slide there? No, we don't, says Päivi. Well, the second slide would go with this mega trends, what's happening in the world, because we didn't have really yeah. No, that's not the one. Yes, this is the one. Actually, because there is no studies about the future of sport in Finland, so we had to go with the mega trends, what are in the world, and you can actually see there is, for example, individualism, especially with the team sports. It's rising up a lot. Players in any different teams are talking about the gay rights. They're kneeling down during the national anthems. There is Black Lives Matters and so on. So actually the athletes, even in team sports, they are now braver and more active in the social issues than before. And we have to, in a political way and from the side of the good governance, we have to know that there is much more notion along the athletes nowadays. For example, in Finland too, but global wise too. The second big change is the climate change, and it's challenging also the sports. People and athletes are right now asking themselves that, do we have to travel so much? How can, is there another way? Can we compete maybe virtually or not to travel? There is a lot of different kind of questions right now, and actually this corona virus forced us to think a little bit differently, and there was some nice ways, I would say, to have these competitions. For example, maybe Sami will tell a little bit later on, but I saw this competition, pole vault competition between Lavillenie and Duplantis, and they were in different countries and they were still competing. So there is actually new ways to tackle, for example, climate change with the sports. Well, third one is the digitalism, which is actually challenging our health. It is also, of course, it's doing all kind of good things in our societies, but it's really challenging our health, because are we exercising nowadays sports enough? Are we moving enough? That's the big question. And people, even the young people, they are addicted to all these different kind of digital toys. So it's been seen that the movement in Finland actually has been decreasing. The people that are keen to have a sport as a hobby, they've been doing it more, but during the corona time, those people that are already in the sofa, they have actually stayed there, and it's going to be a big question in the future. Aging is actually a big thing right now here in Finland, because people are not so many people are not working so much anymore, because they are already elderly people, and there should be the ones that actually are in the working life, they should work even longer. But however, the people in the working life, they're in bad shape right now in Finland, and it is said that there is 3 to 7 billion euro health debt in our country right now, because we are not moving as much. And these people actually, they should work longer. So that's going to be a big issue in Finland in next years. Urbanization is one of the big things, because who will provide the sports fields in the future in those places that are losing right now people and citizens? That's going to be dividing their different kind of cities or communities from each other. And municipalities, they don't have enough money to do that right now. Even cities like Jyväskylä, it's kind of struggling to find the money. For example, we have this Hippos 2020 right now going on, but even big cities like Jyväskylä, they are not finding enough money from the market now, right now. So it's going to be a big thing in the future, how the sports arenas and fields will be structured. You can go to the next slide. Okay, I cannot see what there is. Maybe I can, yeah. Advantages and challenges. Well, to be honest with you, there's only 5.5 million people in Finland, so we should be able to solve these kind of problems. However, there are some big issues that we are not really talking about in our society. For example, sport funding. About 150 million per year is funded by our gambling monopoly, Veikkaus. So in a way, there is a question that is it good that the poor people in Finland are playing these slot machines, very addictive slot machines around the Finland and funding our sports institutions? This is a big question that we don't really talk right now in our society, that should be taken very seriously, because for my aspect, this is not really a how do you say, responsible way to have this kind of funding in our society. So maybe Sami could tell a couple words about how he feels about this funding which is provided right now in Finland. But I think it should be changed maybe in 5 to 10 years, because right now it's not really a responsible way. Next slide, please. Well, COVID has changed a lot of the sports and maybe the future of sport. Already we've seen some outcomes. For example, these massive economical impacts of many sport businesses. There's a lot of gyms that are not open, and there's a lot of professional leagues that are struggling right now. Okay, there is some, in globally, there is some leagues that have such a good TV money that they can actually run these sports without audience. But for example, in Finland, this will be a big question. For example, when the ice hockey season starts, if there is no audience, I think they will be screwed. Professional athletes, they've seen a lot of different impacts of this, and the traveling and everything has been very hard for them. And there has been a lot of increase in these COVID ways of sports. For example, e-training, e-games, they've been going up, and some these trekking trends and so on. So we have seen many changes now during the COVID stage, and we don't know if these are permanent changes, and if they are, they will change a lot of our views of sport. And still, this for political side, there is a lot of open questions. For example, these big international sports events, for example, Olympic Games, how they are arranged in the future. There is now big debate on how World Championship Games in Belarus and ice hockey will be next time in Belarus, and the country is right now in total chaos. So there's a lot of these kind of things that actually are very important in the political aspects of sports. And I have to say that the biggest thing, even though the COVID is right now here, is the effects in general physical activities. Like we've seen that there is a lot of people that have dropped moving, or they're not moving at all right now. So how do we get these people active again after this COVID virus and so on? That will be the key questions in the future. But yeah, that's my last slide. So that's about 10 minutes. So I will thank you all for listening. Thanks.
All right, thank you very much, Sinuhe. Now it's time to move on to our third speaker.
Yes, so Sami Itani is giving his talk, and Sami is a former athlete who represented Finland in decathlon, and during his athletics career he attained also master's degree in management and leadership at JSPE, and then proceeded to doctoral degree in international business at Aalto University. And since finishing his PhD, Sami has worked at the Adecco Group and currently being the CEO in Finland. And Sami holds several positions of trusts and of course, including presidency of Finnish Athletics Federation. So warmly welcome Sami to give your presentation.
Hi guys, I suppose you can hear me all right? Cool.
Yes, excellent.
First of all, thank you for the intro. I feel honored being here in this call and joining Dean Pesonen and MP Wallinheimo. Thank you for the invitation. Also, I don't mind if somebody wants to challenge me, interrupt, ask me questions. Feel free to do that. I figured I might just well skip the slides and just briefly pinpoint a few pivotal key topics that I find important to address when it comes to managing sports in the modern Finnish society. In brief, I'm super excited and happy about this program since sports and lifestyle industries in Finland are growing rapidly and steadily. Even despite of COVID, there are a lot of potential in the industry. Also, as NGOs, when it comes to sports-related NGOs, we touch upon the lives of 1.2 million Finns directly. So there is a increasingly important societal role we play within sports organizations, both NGOs and private ones. However, when it comes to management of these organizations, there has not been very straightforward focus on the management capabilities and peculiarities within sports sphere, and hence I'm super excited that this program is being launched soon, and there is indeed a need for that, because let's say inadequate focus of management within sports causes a lot of complications. For instance, the sports organizations tend to be somehow inefficient. The employee well-being and engagement isn't as high as in most private sector organizations. Turnover is high. There is lack of public recognition quite often for these organizations, as well as chronic lack of trust for the management roles within sports organizations. So this is a needed program. Cool. Also have to highlight that bad management causes to some extent, let's say, hindered ability to adjust to change, despite we have some good examples like MP Wallinheimo said about Lavilleni Duplantis case, but the change management within sports organizations isn't as strong as elsewhere in the society. I would say that main challenges or opportunities on a macro level include, for instance, in sports, our ability or lack of ability to address and appeal to the public, i.e. speak to the people outside of the sports sphere. Traditionally in Finland, we have not really had a strong value-driven voice to the external world. And in the 2020s, it's increasingly important. And for instance, MP Wallinheimo mentioned about the Vehmas case. I think it's an excellent example. We as sports leaders have been fairly idle, and there has not been open, constructive, critical, and most of all public discussion about this important topic, which is essentially both a pragmatic but also a value-driven topic. The more Finns lose money to Veikkaus or via Veikkaus, the more sports gets funded, more or less. Obviously, it's not a black and white question, but it's very important to address publicly. And I have fairly similar views with MP Wallinheimo on Veikkaus-related topics. Also, when it comes to management within sports organizations, I have to say that the number of external stakeholders in sports NGOs in particular is incredibly vast. And the decision-making processes are significantly more democratic than in corporate life. So, for example, as a president of Finnish Athletics Federation, the concrete budget we run is annual budget, only 7 million. Whereas in private business, where I'm a CEO of Adecco, we have 20 times more, 140 million annual budget. And I feel that the sports part is significantly more difficult to manage, partially because of the number of external stakeholders and the democratic decision-making processes. Also, Sinuhe spoke about global mega trends. We need to address them better in sports as well. Ecologization, medialization, finance-driven consumerism, the new generations, Zetas, millennials, you name them, and their needs, multiculturalism, etc. I'm pretty sure that all of these will be touched upon within this program at JSBE, so much needed. So those were some macro level challenges or opportunities within sports. And on micro level, there are different ones, but equally important to address. I suppose the biggest difference between private business management and sports management is that people involved within sports tend to be volunteers. How to manage them when there is no employee and employer responsibilities, it is quite a task for many. In a way, I feel that corporate life, in good and in bad, is more clinical, less personal, less emotional on average in comparison with sports, where there is an inherent passion and intrinsic will to go progressively forwards. There is huge potential in managing passion if it's done properly and the passion is steered into a common and constructive goal. But this is a very difficult task to do, how to steer passion into a common and constructive goal, especially since nowadays one could say that the people involved within sports organizations are from extremely diverse backgrounds. Whether we speak about gender, age, education, wealth, whatever the social background is highly diverse, and there needs to be a strong normative touch in management, i.e. we need to be better at defining, conceptualizing, and living our publicly announced values. And I think that collectively sports organizations in Finland have not been succeeding in this goal, and in 2020s it's increasingly important. Now I have listed some HR related policies, etc., that would be important to address as well, but since it's 13:42, I thank you for your time, and I'm happy to answer any questions either now or later as the webinar has ended. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Sami, for the presentation. Now we have some time for questions and discussion. So, anyone, is there any good comments or questions that you want to now present?
We see, for example, Nikita has posed a question to Hanna-Leena. Would you like to repeat that now? Is Nikita still online? Maybe we can read it. Was interesting. Would it be cool to include talk about greenwashing and trend of making sponsorship deals with the help of climate care programs? Do you have any comment on that, Hanna-Leena?
Absolutely, yes. A very good comment. So absolutely, that's always an issue when we talk about responsibility. You always have to somehow keep an eye for the potential misuse of the idea of responsibility. It's always lurking behind the corner, so to say. So very, very important comment. I could talk about this for hours, so go into more details. But yeah,
organize another seminar for this one. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. There is another question from Anna-Leena to Sami that what would be the core competencies to be taught in RESPO? Sami, can you hear?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Anna-Maija. You rock, by the way. You were my supervisor when I did my thesis, the best one could ever have. Good question. Let's see. By the way, I'm echoing in case somebody could mute. Thank you. I would say that in brief, diverse communication skills, using different kind of channels, talking to different kind of audiences, it is a very pivotal skill that can be to some extent taught at the program. So definitely a competence important to address. Similarly, both project and change management skills. At the end of the day, running a private business or NGO within sports is team-based project management that you need to have the competencies of, and definitely change is something that is chronicle, and we need to have good skills for change management as well. And then when it comes to traditional HR, in a way, I say that the ability to both set and follow concrete targets and in a way manage the performance of both subordinates and teams and the whole organization. This is something that we are not really good at sports organizations, unlike in most private businesses, or at least some private businesses. So yeah, performance management skills and competencies are also very important to teach at this program. So this is something at least I could come up with. Thank you, Anna-Maija.
Thank you very much, Sami, for your.
Yes, I was writing down all your ideas.
We definitely take notes on your thoughts. Thank you.
How about others? Are there any volunteers or someone who wants to still post a question?
All right. If not, yeah, then we take the opportunity to say a little bit about our program. So we would like to continue. Yeah.
Just a moment, I will share my screen. So, just briefly, the basic facts of the program, and like we already, many of us highlighted that this is now 2 faculties that who are starting the program, the School of Business and Economics, especially the discipline of Management and Leadership, and the Faculty of Sport and Health Sciences, and particularly the Social Sciences of Sport. And this is highly relevant cooperation now that we are starting, and also something that we are now jointly kind of creating and developing. And the target degree of the program is based on the student's background, then a Master of Science in Economics and Business and Administration, or then Masters of Sport Sciences. And the main study area, I wouldn't call it major subject, but the main study area is responsible management and business of sport. And in the study curricula, we have kind of a combination, both the organization and management studies and the social sciences and from the faculty of sport and health sciences. And the extent of the program is 120 credits, and of course this is an international program, and the study language is English, and we are aiming to take 20 students per year, and of course this is also a pathway to doctoral studies, giving eligibility then for either of these faculties. And the fee is similar to this kind of master degrees programs in the University of Jyväskylä. Well, we have the same fee or the policy like for every other program. And
yeah, and then if I may continue with some of the goal areas of our program, the more detailed information is available in the web pages, but just to summarize a little bit what type of courses we are then teaching to our future new students. We have, first of all, an area with discipline-based knowledge, the contents, the subjects, in fact, knowledge application and responsible business, kind of covering overall all the courses and modules. We pay a lot of attention also to research skills, so that our graduates are familiar with the most commonly used research methods and know how to use them. We also focus on communication and language skills, and then ethical behavior as a fourth goal area of our studies. In more detail, we have courses, for example, advanced level courses in sport and leisure management, sport event management, responsible management and leadership, and human resources management, together with sport marketing. And in addition, our courses relate to the operational practices of different sport organizations, because there's a different logic a little bit, or actually quite a bit, depending on whether the sport organizations are representing the public, the private, commercial, or the voluntary third sector. And then we focus on sport ethics from various points of view, and then also to sport as a societal phenomenon. We also want to highlight that our students are offered an internship placement during their studies in various sport organizations, either here in Finland or abroad, based on their preferences. So all students have a nice way to familiarize themselves with the working life, and at best find there also working places in the future. Also, we want to highlight that this is an academic level program, so central focus will be in completing a master's thesis project, which is relatively demanding, as this is only a two-year program.
So this is now, like we have already said, that we are now developed the program, and of course this is a continuous process, and the first application round for student is in January 2021, and so here is an internet address that you can find more information, and another maybe this kind of piece of information is that we will have another webinar that is more targeted to those who are planning to apply for this program organized by our university later this autumn. But do you have any short questions still, or I can't see the chat now, but if anyone wants to ask anything or say something, the floor is now yours.
This is Anna-Maja speaking. I'm like Vice Dean of Education in the School of Business and Economics. Thank you for organizing this seminar. I actually wrote a question, but you don't see, or a comment, but you probably don't see it now. But yeah. I wanted to comment, maybe I didn't see on the slides, but actually considering the fee, what you, Suvi mentioned, it is important to understand that it is, of course, free for people coming from the European Union, Finland as well, and the fee concerns people coming outside the European Union. Maybe it was on the slide, but you didn't mention that. That's why I wanted to clarify that there is no wrong idea that this would be like the fee would be valid for European Union people as well. So that was only my comment. Thank you. Thank you for the interesting seminar, and many warm greetings, by the way, to Sami, if you are here still.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, I think it was in the slide, but thank you for clarifying this. Of course, for you citizens, this is a free program. Anyone else? If not, then I would like to warmly thank you, all our presenters and all the participants, and hoping that you will keep up with the program development and all the information that we are giving now during the autumn. And I can say personally that I'm really excited to start now this master degree program, and we have been working closely with this program already for months, and interesting challenges and development still coming. So thank you all.
Yes, also on my behalf, thank you. Thank you very much for joining, and let's keep in touch. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.